You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Afro Social Forum. And today, I we are going to be having a very challenging conversation. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in, and invite your friends. My name is Vera Sampon, your Afro Social worker, and like we said in the video, we are not miracle workers. We are social workers, and we are offering the services to the best of our knowledge with the techniques that we have learned in school. So, and of course, with the professions that we have, the experiences that we have been having in our diverse institutions. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this other conversation. And today, the topic is, how do we help the African community in Germany to understand the difference between being a Black person and being a professional African social worker? My colleague Batimona Abeke will not be with me directly on studio today because of health reasons, but she is at the background and extends her greetings. So you're welcome. Share the link with your friends, invite your friends, and let's have this conversation rolling together. Um, let's have this talk rolling together. Now, the question today is this: how can we help we, the social workers with African background, how can they help the African community in Germany? Where is the difference between being a Black person as an individual, and then on the other hand, being a Black African social worker? Now, I am a social worker by profession. I studied 3.5 years to have the qualification, the degree needed to be a recognized social worker, social educator by profession. And I've been working for the past 12 years as a social worker and, of course, as a business owner in the area of social work, having also a business in social areas. I would like us to have a case study today, and then we're going to understand the role of social work, who is a social worker, and how can we distinguish a social worker from a lay person, a lay man, a lay woman on the street. But before we get into the conversation, I want us to have a background information to this discussion today. You see, many of us travel from different parts of Africa to come to Germany for greener pastures. Some people come like students, like I did. I came like a student. I went to the university. I studied. I never had directly some other kind of challenges that a refugee may have. Now, I came with a plane so that you know it differently. And we have refugees, some refugees that come by foot. So they entered Germany not with a plane. They took one step to the other from Libya to Italy, and then they entered Germany with a train. Now, we have other refugees who came by flight as well. So you see, there are different categories of people who come into this country for greener pastures, or again for adventure, or again for whatever reasons. Fact is, when we get into this country, we have different reasons for being here. We come with different backgrounds, and we have different standards of living. Now, the one person has gone to the university, another person has done the training. All in all, we have a certain standard of living in Germany, all of us. What makes it usually challenging is the fact that we all stay in one small apartment. And not because I have anything against apartment, but we're all in almost like the same lifestyle, the same standards, and you barely will know who is who. And this is the biggest challenge I have observed in the community. Now, I'm talking today from the perspective of an African person, and then we're going to also talk from the perspective of the African social worker. And I said before, I studied 3.5 years to have the qualification as a social worker. So you don't just get up in the morning and become a social worker. You don't just by doing the activities that you are helping people become a recognized social worker. For you to be a social worker, you must go to the university. It is not a training, it's not an Ausbildung. It is a university, an academia. So when you get them, you study hard, you get involved, you do the practical work, and then after 3.5 years, or for some people 4 years, for those who did diploma before the bachelor degree came, and you are given tools, techniques to help people at the professional level. You're giving tools, you're giving techniques to sit with the youth organization, with social institutions, with health institutions, to have conversations, negotiation skills on how to help your client. The first assignment of a social worker is to be, in German we call it parteilich. So I have the assignment to back up my client, right? That is the first one. 2, to support my client to the point that he or she will be able to is having the ability to do the thing that I came to help him or she do it. That after my support, he or she can do it alone. 3rd, to create that empowerment for him so that he or she can use the resources he has. What are those resources? The mental resources, the ability to dream big. What are those resources? The spiritual resources, the diverse religious resources that we have that gives you the faith to push on life. What are those resources? Your relationships that you have that helps you be able to meet different people and, of course, contact people, networking. What are those resources? The ability to have the financial stability, the resilience. These are the resources that the human comes with. And my assignment as a social worker is to use these resources, help this person have stabilized themselves, and that they can be able to do that which they are wanting to do by their own selves, so that I'm not the one doing it. In a layman's language, one would say the social worker gives you the tool, the technique, so that you can be able to fish your own fish yourself. So she's not always there to tell you this is a fish or give you the fish all the time, so you become a slave to them, but helps you. How do we do this? Step by step in our job. It depends on which area you are. Let's go dive into the area of family help. Now, what is the role of a social worker in families? The social worker comes into the family and helps the family stabilize, helps the family to properly communicate, helps the family to have a rhythm of the day, a routine. So we know you get up at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, you take your shower, you prepare the children for school, you also go to work. They help you have a routine. If you're a family where there's aggressivity, a lot of problems, the social worker comes in there to help you so that you find the root cause of that problem, of that aggressivity. If there is maybe always fighting, and we are confused if what I'm doing now is correct or not. The social worker comes, has the skills, has been given the techniques to help sit with you and help you come out of that frustration, come out of that unclarity, and helps you find clarity. The technique of the social work is not to do it for you, it's to give you that tools so that you can do it. So it's not my place to say, I'm going to write the job application. Of course, it's my place to help you process it, direct you, guide you, so that you can write that job application yourself. But of course, I'm behind to watch one step to the other to see that you are able to write that job application and apply for that job, so that I can help you apply for you are very tired, you are exhausted, and you do not know how to go about. The social worker comes in and gives you the exact information where to apply. And if you can't apply the forms, you can't fill the forms because of the language barrier, the social worker comes in, helps you fill the form for you. The social worker plays the role of a middleman between you and the youth service and all other social institutions. Now, the social worker mentors you, guides you, coaches you. If now you understand the different assignments, the roles of a social worker, my question to ask today, because I am talking today not to the whole world in general. Yes, the whole world may be listening, but I'm specifically talking to people with the African heritage who are living here in the diaspora and having it hard times to respect, believe, trust, and make use of the offers of the social workers with the African heritage like themselves. I'm taking two examples today and I want us to talk about it. But before we get there, I welcome you all who are here already. Invite your friends, invite the other social workers, share the link so that others can also profit from the conversation today. Like I said, my colleague is not feeling well today, but she will be joining us in the next other programs. So share the link, invite your friends, and of course, tag someone to join the conversation. And if you have any questions, write down your questions. If you have any contributions, contribute and let us have this talk together. Let it not be just a one-person talk. And if you want to join me in the studio, let me also know. We can find a way that you can get into the studio. So back to our conversation, and the topic today is, how do we help the African community in Germany to understand the difference between Vera as a Black person, Vera. I'm taking my own example now so that it's practical and you understand better. And Vera as a professional social worker, African social worker. Now, I'm taking the example. I had this example some time ago, but I'm going to take this example, and today we're going to have two examples. I take the example of a family, let's say family E. Family E, they are a family of 5 people, and family E, they usually fight, they argue, they dispute. The father goes this way, the mother goes this way. The children are always punished either by beating, by kneeling down, carrying stones on their hands, and all these kinds of things. There's distrust in the family circle. The children are feeling actually not safe, even though they are with their parents. I insist that the children are feeling usually not safe, even though they are with their parents, because usually we think that it is enough to give food for the child and it's enough to pay the school fees for those who pay school fees. We think that's enough, but we forget the other aspect of trauma we induce in our children, consciously or unconsciously. The simple fact that you distrust your child is really also a challenge. And the fact that your child distrusts you is also a challenge. Now, we have diverse ways of the way we go about with our German Black children or German Afro children. The first challenge we have is that we are African people who were trained differently. We come into this country and we have a new order system and we get confused. Why do we get confused? Because one, we want to impose our methods that we were taught and we learned back home to the African German children. Now, what you forget is that this child in your home that you gave birth to has been socialized in a German school, eating the German food, speaks the German language as his first language, thinks like a German. The difference is that he or she is having the melanin skin. That's the difference, right? But for sure, he thinks like the German who is here because he's born here, he has gone to school here. Now, when you start punishing your child or you beat the child and the child have conversations with other people, the other German parents have never asked the child to kneel down, go out here, carry this and that, or have never beaten the child, we have now a clutch of conflict because when they have their exchange, they are like, hey, but my parents do this. Now, a child can take that up to a certain time. What most of us do not understand is the fact that at a given time, a child, the one you think is a child, is no longer a child. It's almost even, they call that Heranwachsene in German, getting to adulthood. But because we always see children as children, we don't give the space for them to be that what we call in German Heranwachsenen, somebody growing up, right? And it causes a lot of confusion. Now let's go back to the story of this family with the 5 heads of people. Now, in this family, the mother, the father, they punish the children in the diverse way we know as Africans. But they prepare everything. They pray with the children. They impose church to the children because they think that it is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. They believe it is a good thing that the children should know the way of God. But what they do not understand is that in as much as it is a good thing, these children have their own will to decide if they should or they should not. Now, this case in Germany, now the father has imposed to the child, and the child pretends to be a child of God and is going to church following, and we believe because we enjoy the pretense and we enjoy the process together. And the child, the 13 years old child, gets up one day and says, I can't bear this again. I want to leave the family circle. Calls up the police and tells the police, I want to leave this circle. I don't want to be here again. Now, the police, because they are not the youth center or the youth office, they immediately call the youth office. Now, please pay attention to this conversation. When they call the youth office, the assignment of the youth office, remember the very first time we started the Afro Social Forum, we had the conversation on who the rights of the child, the rights of the youth office or the Jugendamt, what we call, and the assignment. And we said assignment number 1 is that the child is taken care. The Jugendamt is like the uncle, the grandmother, the auntie of this child. So they are watching to see that this child is doing well. And if the parents failed in their responsibilities, the Jugendamt comes in. Pay attention, not by all means to only take away your child as we claim to be, but to give you the assistance that you need at that time. So how do we go about now? The question is, how do we handle this situation and the assistance of the youth office? Now, we've spoken about the police calls the youth office, the Jugendamt. Now, the Jugendamt don't come directly to your house. The Jugendamt calls the social worker, who is now, let's say, an African, because the Jugendamt believes that the African social workers understand your culture, understand your language, understand your spiritual resources. So this Jugendamt calls for the African social worker and say, we have an African family here, and this is a challenge they're going through. Now, the African social workers come to your house and say, I have been sent, I have the mandate, not just sent, actually, I have a mandate to come to your house. And the mandate says that I should check what is happening. Question for you, ladies and gentlemen out there. How do you react? How do you go about it? And how do you treat your fellow African person, but not just African person, a professional African social worker? So let's take now that it is me, I've been sent to your house to come and have a conversation with you. If I come to your house and you claim, like many people say, oh, sister, forget these people. No, they just want to take my child. And I explain you as a professional, ma'am, I beg to correct now. For those who are always calling everybody sister, I think this is also one of the problems. You call everyone sister, but you're not ready to take their advice and counsel. Stop pretending and stop calling people sisters. In fact, call me by my name, Miss Sampon, right? It is much more better so that we have that professional distance. Then I know I stand on that professionality and I don't have to even be thinking if you're a sister or not. I just do my job. So now this social worker, African social worker, comes to your house and knows the inside information of the police, of the Jugendamt. Remember, she is a professional social worker. If you do not recognize her, the institution recognizes her or him. The society, the government recognizes him. Now, it is ignorant for you not to recognize that person that is doing their professional job. Let's take it to the medical doctor. When you go to the medical doctor, for example, you believe what the medical doctor tells you, right? So, yes, you do. If they just tell you have corona today because you were coughing, you will not even go to verify to the next other doctor, right? You will just believe that doctor. When the social worker tells you and gives you the details and the information, why don't you also take it serious? And this is our question today. How can we help you, the community, listening to us, to take the work of the Afro social workers that serious? Because you are going through lots of challenges because you are not taking the work serious. And then you turn around and we turn around and still blame them, but this time not blame them like professionals, blame them like persons. Back to our story. So this young man called the police and the police called the Jugendamt and the social worker. I was there or I'm there as a social worker. And then you, the mother, come out and you, the father, instead to ask the question, ma'am, what can we do so that we avoid the wrath of these people? What is the matter? What is the thing? Oh, because you as a Black mother, father, you see us as just Black people like you who came from the waters, maybe walked through the Libya, that's what you think. And so you feel and believe that we are just the same. So what can we do? Point of correction, we are not. We have learned the skills to give you the techniques. If you recognize it or not, it is already in our pocket that we have that technique to give it back to you. And now this mother gets furious and says, "Oh, you Black people, you are not kind." Now, my question is, why do we mix up that Black African social worker with their person? If it is a European, white German that comes to your home as a family, having these quarrels, having this fighting, why do you easily accept them? Accept even the people who don't understand your background, who will even take the children without mercy, who will not even give you time to really even talk because they are just straight and just doing their job. How come? This is a conversation today. And this is what I would like us to share. Tell me your own point of view. Why is it that it's so difficult to recognize the abilities of the African social workers? Mary De Caro says, first, you get mad, but if you care, I would listen. Yes. Then Maggie Roy says, for me, I would welcome my African social worker who understands my culture very well because I believe she or he can be of great help. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you very much for being here, Mary De Caro. Thank you, Martina Krebs. I'm seeing you all. Thank you, Mesmin Wafo. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining the conversation. Today, I'm dealing on the challenge of the African social workers in Germany. So, and Anna is saying, love the African social workers. They're doing a great job. Oh, yes, we are doing a great job. Our cooperation partners are enjoying the job, and we are discovering in the community that a lot is going wrong. And no one else can do this job better as the African social workers to help the community, inform them of how other institutions function, because we collaborate, because we have the mandate to work with you people, with the other institutions, because we are qualified social workers. In the US, they will say mentors and coaches, and that's exactly the work that we do. And that's what we are giving it to you for free in the week. Now let's go back to the story. So this young man has called the police, and the Jugendamt has called the African social worker. Get into that family. First, my people, you have no right to defy the authority of the African social worker, because they are the state, so to say, partly the state. Why? Because the state gives them the work to do on their behalf. Two, they were just like, let's say, the police. If you defy the police, what happens? You pay the consequences. Now, thirdly, if you also do not listen to the advices they give to you, what happens is, when you fall into the pit hole that you have dug yourself by your own very attitude, do not rush back again and be complaining. These Africans do like that. No, we are not just Africans, we are social workers. I take you the example of a young person. I've told you this example before. A woman was very sick, severely sick, and she called us, another African mother. She called us, and we offered her the service. She was to be in the hospital a weekend, and no one to be take care of her beautiful children. I sent our employee there to spend even the night there because no one could do, no other German institution could do this. So they spent the night there, prepared good breakfast for the kids, took care of these kids, and they went to school, came back, and they were familiar. And they're calling uncle. Of course, professionally, it must not be so. But if it helps the relationship, then it's beautiful. Remember, those are the cultural background that we have that makes our work amazing, because then there's that connection. Now, this woman left the hospital, and remember, she's not the one to remove money from her pocket to pay for our services we have offered her. Right? No, she's not the one. It is a health insurance. And all we needed from her was to give us her health insurance so that we can be able to process and get the funding and get money for the services we have provided. It was a whole weekend that we sent someone there, 24 hours of service, an amazing service. And when she came out, you don't want to imagine what she said. She said, "Oh no, I don't really think I want to work with Africans because I'm not sure that they can do a good job." Goodness. I was so shocked. Will I say shocked? Because my employee was there the whole weekend, 3 days, 3 nights, took care of her children so well that no other would have done. And so she came back. Now she's feeling much better. And now we want to proceed. I said, "Please, can I have the insurance card so that I can pursue and get my money?" Until today, as we talk, we've never gotten that money. That money would have been more than even 1,500, 2,000 euros, right? Because it was a whole weekend with every services inside. Okay. Now, so she said, "No, I want a German." And the first question for me was, wait a minute. You called all the German institutions, they could not be that flexible as we were. So would you punish us for being flexible to take care of you? And then after that, you now come back to say, no? Are you doing us now a favor? Or we have offered you the service? Or wait a minute, you thought the service was too easy because we saw us go to the length to break our necks because we wanted to help a fellow African woman so that she is not stranded and her children are not stranded. And as your gift, as compensation, as a gift for us, you tell us, no, you want but a European because you want white people to come to work in your house. And I'm asking the question, what has gone wrong? So if you're here, let us know, ladies and gentlemen, what has gone wrong? Why is it so difficult for some, not all, for some African people to accept the offer, the work of the African social worker in their community? If you know the answer, just write your answer below, and then I'll bring it up here. We can read it together and have that conversation rolling. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Mary De Caro say that's what the African in some of us do. Oh yes, that's so sad. But ma'am, what does it mean the African in some of us? This is really, really ridiculous. I mean, this was a weekend that no other institution was able to help. It was only this particular institution, the Sunpoint Social Service, and we gave a pure professional service. And when she got out, oh my word, amazingly, she feels that she was doing us now a favor if she had to give us the card. But no, it wasn't a favor. We had offered a service. How often have you offered services to people? They were supposed to give a gift to that, and they slapped you on the face. Now, let's take another scenario. I am called into family to speak to the parents about their children. And when I get into this family home, I tell them this and this and this is what the government is saying. This, and the government here, I mean the Jugendamt, is saying. Let me help you. Pay attention to this. Pay attention to this. And when you refuse to pay attention, this and this and this will happen to you. There's a young man, a young woman of about 14 who left the parents' home, ran because the parents were always beating her. The parents would put her to knee down and put hands up. The parents would do a lot of things. But unconsciously to the parents, it was draining this young girl. And so she ran from the home. When she ran, she went to meet the Jugendamt. I call it Jugendamt so that we understand it. And the Jugendamt called the family, and of course called another African social worker. This is an African case. Please come and help. So this African social worker goes there to help. And when she gets there, she has a one-on-one talk with a young girl. And the young girl tells the social worker, remember, even though they are melanin skinned, but I tell you, they are Germans completely because they are socialized German, eat German food, they speak the German language as their first language. So they will only understand, of course, someone like them too. And that's why many parents have problems with their children. So this mother comes now, this young girl, this African social worker is talking with the young girl who respects the African social worker because she respects every other worker and tells the detailed story. Now, the social worker, remember, African social worker, calls the parents to give them information. Your daughter sees this and that, and your daughter says for her to come back home, you must apologize that yes, or recognize that you have been beating her. 2, accept that and ask for forgiveness for that. And thirdly, accept to go for a therapy against your aggression. Now, for those who are Christians amongst us, I beg to shock you. Most of us will say, oh no, spare the rod and spoil the child. I was just not sparing the rod. And so this man and the wife decided not to comply to the needs of that young girl. As we talk now, this young girl is with a foster family, and the father and mother are watching, but they are able to listen to the advice of the Afro social worker. The African social worker said, comply, apologize, and take your child back. And she said, the family said, no, we cannot. All you're doing is to have your job and your money. Now, the child has been taken. Unfortunately, when one child gets taken, if you're not careful, the second and the third will be taken. And now the children are all taken. And instead of this family to sit back and reflect And what is happening? Why are they taking these children? Why are these children complaining? The parents are busy throwing assault to the social worker because they think they eat the same fufu, right? If it was a white European social worker, would that be the case? I'm not sure. You will say they are just doing their job. What makes you as an African think that I, as an African social worker, am not doing my job? What makes you think that I should just behave like you are behaving, like a lay person is behaving? What makes you think that it is correct that even though I have my profession, I should not live in my profession? Who gives you the audacity? Who gives us the audacity to think that we can pull every other person simply because we are having melanin on us, on our bodies? If a social worker comes to your house, you better open the door and listen. If it be white, blue, yellow, red, it doesn't matter. But you have an advantage when I come in because I can give you the tips I know, the tricks I have used. And if you put that into practice, it will help you. Right? So these parents, instead of apologizing to their children, oh, we are sorry, they feel like, oh no, we can't apologize. We can't apologize. It's not proper. It's not done. And these children, one after the other, are leaving their homes. I think that we African parents must come to the realization that our children do not apply to come to live in Germany. If the system in Germany is so difficult and you can't bear it, I think it's time to say, oh, no, 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 no. I better go and live back in Africa, right? Rather than being here with German children in your home and not coping. Because again, these children you have in your home, they are German children. They only have the melanin like you. But honestly, they think like Germans. They have eaten their food. They have gone to their schools. What do you expect of them anyway? We say most of the times here that we have the colonial mindset, and we compare at times the field slave and the house slave. I mean, take note of the house slave. The house slave has learned the techniques, the tricks, everything of the master. The master has given him trust or her trust. So she knows well about what is happening inside. Now, the only difference between the master and the house, the master and the house slave, is the fact that maybe he has to do all the domestic works. But in terms of the way they will think, this house slave will back up also the master. What does this mean? It simply means that if you go to those schools where our children go, you have the friends they have. It's normal that they think like every other young German child. And therefore, the challenge we have as parents is the fact that we have German children in the house with an identity that looks like ours, but with a thinking pattern that is different. And then we have parents that come from somewhere else. Some took the boats to reach to Europe. Some took the plane. Some came as refugees. Some were driven from their places. And they have not yet walked their trauma. They're still going through their own traumas. Many are here, they're not living up to their expectations. They wanted to be teachers. They have never been able to attend because of the language. They wanted to be medical doctors, but somehow could not get there because of one barrier or the other. And now their frustrations, they levy it at every other person that looks like them. And even to the government that looks like them. When I say the government that looks like them, I mean the social worker that has been given the mandate to come to your house. So it's no longer about me, it's about that profession. So for us as people today, it's important that you get to know the people by their own professions and respect everyone their profession and learn from the people that you should learn from instead of wanting to fight them. If you come to my office and I realize that you are the type that will not listen, I will not give you the second chance to come again into that office because you're just going to bring me waste of time. And this is the challenge we are having, is that you come, one, with your religious background, and you think that you want to impose your religious pattern and thinking on me. Two, you come with your cultural background, and you think you want to impose that on me. Three, you come with the identity that looks like mine, and you think, oh, wow, if she's there, oh, it's a sister. No, it's not. We're not sisters in this area. I'm a professional. My colleagues are professional, and we are just doing our professional work. Please make the difference. Even if you meet us in the churches, make the difference. At that point, we are in church. Yes, it is church matter. Don't bring me any assignments. You know, some people go as far as you have an office and you tell the people, come to the office for your services. No, the wait, it is on Sunday when it is church day, they bring you matters. Do we even reason, my people? Do we even reflect at times? And then we put everything into the name of religion. We put everything into the name of, and then you're asking, where is even the God of religion? Where is even that spirit that would have even said, but there is an office there. Why didn't you go to the office to get that support? Why didn't you listen to? And why didn't you get the advice? Right? And now when the damnation comes, when the challenge comes, you rush back again to us. You start cursing the government. You start cursing the police. You start cursing the youth center, the Jugendamt. They are not always the fault. If you know that the first assignment of the Jugendamt is to stand and support the child, then you will not just come up and think that their intention is to destroy you. Many times we have said in this forum that the Jugendamt is not there by all means to take your children away. That's not their primary aim, because a day with a child with the Jugendamt costs the Jugendamt lot of money. So that should not be their priority. Their priority is to help you through social workers so that you can be able to do the work as a parent very well. And it is only when you fail to do that they can even come in. And when they come in, they are not coming in to take your child away from you directly. No, they come in to still give you the support. And usually, they look for someone like you. They look for an African social worker like you. They are so thankful. They are so grateful to say, oh, now we have someone who understands their language, who can hear from the other resources they have. And then they send this person to you for reverence, even for you, for respect for your culture, for respect for your religion, for love for you, so that you should not think that their intention is to come to take away your child. Now they send me to your home and you start a fight with me. They send me to your home to help you, and you think my assignment is to come and destroy you. My question to us is, what has gone wrong? What has gone wrong? And how can we change the narratives? Thank you for coming. I'm greeting you, Mary De Caro. And Mary De Caro says that That's why we need to re-educate ourselves, meaning some of us are under white supremacy. Very true. Thank you. Hello, Matisse. You're welcome. I'm very glad to see you here, Matisse. God bless you. Thank you for the amazing job you're doing. Levi say, keep on rising and doing the professional work Afro Social Worker Forum. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Matty says, having beaten as your tools is not your fault, but the way you learned how to bring up your child. Try to be better and work on how you can be peaceful towards your children. We have to educate ourselves all the time and be aware of our socialization. Wow. Thank you so very much, Matty. This is a brilliant one. We have to educate ourselves all the time. When you entered into this country, remember, no one invited you. You came as well as you can go back. Now, the laws are there for all of us. The laws are there to guide us. Where your own right starts or ends, that's where the other person's own starts. So we should be careful when we start talking about this is my right and here. Know where your right ends is where another person's right starts. Children have the same rights like you. They are human beings like you. I was beaten as a child, but it never stopped me to hate that beating is not good. So we can always learn and we can always correct. And if you offend your child, it's not a taboo to apologize and say, hey, I'm sorry. I was frustrated. I'm sorry. But unfortunately, many of us are not even able, even the so-called religious leaders. And Mary De Caro said, true, Vera, we should be very careful and adjust to this culture. I would want to say, I don't want you to assimilate everything and say, oh, now I'm becoming a German and all that. No. But what is good is good. Let's take another scenario. You who is listening to me and you say you're a child of God, you're a Christian, and you're talking about don't spare the rod and spoil the child. I ask you this question. If God was not sparing you, do you think you listening will still be alive today? You. If God was not sparing you all the time, you kept messing up, would you be alive now as we talk? And if God was going to give you spanks anytime, put you to kneel down anytime, put you to put your hands up anytime, make you feel small anytime, will you still be alive as we talk? You answer me. Let's be honest. If this God you are wanting to emulate until you think sparing the rod and spoiling the child means by all means to suppress people, to suppress children, and make them feel uncomfortable, to suppress social workers, make them feel they are not worthy. If that is how God treated you, will you be able to survive it? Just imagine for 1 second. You lied today by mistake. Let's say by mistake. God gives you a spank, bam. The next time you pretend you pretend like though you are happy, even though you are not happy. God gives you the next spank, bam. The next time you talk to somebody unconsciously, even just unruly, God gives you the next spank, bam. I wonder if you will be able to cope. And I wonder if you will even stay in the presence of God again. You will want to flee by all means. That's the same scenario, and that's what happens with us and children. At times, we just over abuse our authorities. At times, we over abuse our so-called positions. So we have to work on that so that we don't destroy ourselves, our children, our environment, and of course, not even the workers who comes to do their assignments. Right? So let's continue. And Levi say that is a clear indication that some people still have colonial mentality in them. All that is African is not competitive. What a pity. Exactly. It's a pity we are still having colonial mindset. I'm hoping we are working towards that. And Matty said, wow, that's some insight for there for me. Thank you again for the learning. Thank you, Matty, for being here. Hey, see, people, the work of a social worker is not there to take your children away from you, not even the African social worker. That's not our assignment. Our assignment is not to take your children away from you. Our assignment is not to get confusion in your home. Our assignment is to guide you, to empower you, to lead you, to mentor you, to coach you, give you information that you need so that you can be able to fulfill in this your newfound country, and that your children as well can explore the best of them. But for this to happen, you must respect the work of the African social workers as professionals and not mix that up with the individuals. Differentiate these people. Do not put everyone into a basket, and don't think that because we are Africans, we are brother and sister all the time. No, we are not. We are professionals most of the time. It is better you identify us as professionals and make do with that professionality so that you can get the best of the work that we're offering you in your different areas, in Cologne, in Esslingen, Göppingen, in different cities. There are many African social workers, but most of them even refuse to want to work with the African people because of the attitude of some of the African people. So I'm encouraging you listening to me. If you have never taken time to reflect on the role of an African social worker, please take time to reflect on the role of the African social worker. Think about the conversations we have had. Go through this video again, the second time, the third time. If you find yourself in any of the scenarios I just mentioned in this conversation today, do as much as possible to change your attitude, because your attitude will determine your altitude, how far you will go. As for the Afro social workers, they are always going to be at the center. You can't do without. Unfortunately, even if you say you will want a European social worker and the Jugendamt realizes it's difficult to work with you, they will still send one to you. So you may refuse me, but you cannot refuse all. You better start dealing with the fact that you will have to work with us. And so, because of that, I encourage you to change your mindset, to re educate yourself, to learn the new skills you have to learn the communication skills, and make the best out of the situation. Remember, when we come to your home, we are not coming to take your children. When we come to your home, we are coming to give you the necessary support. And we need that you cooperate with us so that we can better help you. And when the Jugendamt comes to your place, through us, it is not to take your children, it is to give you the support. But your attitude will determine if the children stay or they're going to leave. Hey, time goes so quick, ladies and gentlemen. We have come again to the end of our conversation. Today was just a very quick one to really handle some matters in the community and speak to our people like families will speak, that make use of the offers of the African social workers, because they are there for your good, to counsel you, mentor you, coach you, because they understand your story, your history, your culture, your resources, and of course, they can better also counsel the Jugendamt for you to better live and enjoy your children and also the environment in which you are. We've come to the end of this conversation today. It was a quick one. My colleague and friend Batamona Abeke will be joining us again next week for another conversation. Stay tuned, and until then, take good care of yourself. God bless you.